Perhaps you're thinking about going into fasting and trying that for the first time. There are a lot of mistakes you can make regarding that, and perhaps you've already heard that. So you might be saying to yourself, I don't think that this is something that I can do. Certainly you need to check with your doctor. But today I want to talk about 3 of the biggest mistakes I've made and tell some stories behind those mistakes so that you don't make those same mistakes and you feel better about understanding what you can do to make sure you don't do something that makes you feel uncomfortable when it comes to fasting. There's going to be some level of discomfort, but it doesn't have to be something that you are afraid of. It's just going without food. The word breakfast, by the way, is a word that means to break your fast. Every morning, if you eat breakfast, you're breaking a fast where you didn't eat or drink anything while you were asleep the night before. So you're not afraid to go to bed because you're not going to eat during that time. Instead, you know, hey, I'm not going to eat for a certain period of time. And so a lot of what I'm saying to do on this channel is, in terms of fasting, is to just extend that period of time that you're already fasting. You're already going without food. Okay, mistake number 1. You end your fast too quickly. By the way, all 3 of these mistakes that I'm going to talk about are mistakes that basically were me going too fast. So mistake number 1, you end the fast too quickly. So I had fasted for about 3 or 4 days. So no food, no water for 3 or 4 days. One of the things I was trying to learn during that time was, is this possible? Because there's this thing that people say where they will say, you can't go more than 3 days without water. That's just not true. I don't know where it came from. I don't know that there's any research about it, but it's just absolutely not true that you can't go more than 3 days without water. That's just the thing people say. I have a sense that that could be some lie from Satan, that Satan is propagating to get people to not fast in this way. But I had fasted for about 4 days, so I had stopped eating Sunday night. My last meal was Sunday night, and then I was going to eat again starting on Thursday, so it would have been 3 days, 3+ days. And I was actually about to go to Nashville that day too, so I ate a big meal before I left Huntsville, and then when I got to Nashville, I ate another big meal, and then the next day on Friday, I had a big meal early, and then Friday night, I remember we had a bunch of wings. I was really, at that point, I started not feeling great. And then overnight, it was a lot of diarrhea. It was pretty bad. And I didn't really get right until Sunday or so, and didn't really want to eat much of anything. All of that's because I got back to my eating way too fast. What I should have done instead was slowly begin with fluids, then after adding fluids, start eating a small meal, then gradually begin to work back into eating full meals again. Instead, I ate full meals right off the bat, large meals. Again, for many people, the kind of meal I was eating was probably enough for 2 people. And I did that Thursday morning, Thursday evening, Friday morning, Friday evening. And by that time, my digestive system, which was now awake, was saying, oh, that's too much. So the first mistake that I'm talking about here is ending your fast too quickly. There's a quote from somewhere, if I find it, I'll put it on here, that says, any fool can fast or go a certain amount of time fasting, but the wise person understands how to stop fasting or how to start eating again. I'm butchering the quote, but I found that to be true. It's going a day or 2 or 3 without eating isn't actually the hardest part. The hardest part is actually making sure that you don't overeat when you're first going back in there, because you're going to feel like doing it. You're going to see food. One of the things that happens too is when you haven't used your throat in 2 or 3 days, that when you first begin to eat, your throat is a little sore. So that's the first thing. Don't jump right in. Instead, gradually begin to introduce liquids and then food, and then you should be fine. And you won't have the diarrhea and the upset stomach and all that stuff. The second thing is that you really don't want to just jump into fasting really quickly. What I mean by that is, I was about to say jump into fasting really fast. Well, jump into fasting too quickly. What I mean by this is that you don't want to be in a situation where you've never gone more than 16, 18 hours without food, and now all of a sudden you're going to try a 3-day dry fast, no food, no water for 3 days. I would not suggest that. Start with maybe 24 hours. If you've never gone more than 16 or 18 hours, go 24 hours. And I will say this to some of you who might be experienced fasters, where you have fasted for longer periods of time. What I would say to you is, if you haven't fasted in a while, because this is the mistake I made, I was experienced with fasting, but because I hadn't fasted in a while, I didn't understand that my body needed to get back used to that again. So what I did was I stopped eating Sunday night. I didn't eat anything Monday, didn't eat anything Tuesday. Thought I was doing pretty well. I went and worked out hard in the gym on Wednesday morning. And this is a big part of this. So I was completely depleted, but it didn't feel that way. So I jump in my car, I go to visit one of the brothers from church who's not able to get out as much as he would like. And when I go to visit him, I jump out of the car, I hop out, I'm getting ready to walk inside, walk around the car to go inside his house. But when I walk around the car, I get out of the car, go around to the trunk, I start feeling lightheaded. And all I remember is putting my hand on the trunk of the car, and the next thing I know, I was on the ground and had blacked out. And I bumped my leg, didn't hurt anything seriously, but I blacked out. And I'm thinking to myself, I've gone 3 or 4 days without food and water before. Like, how could this happen? But at that point, I hadn't done that in several weeks. So my body wasn't used to it. And so I blacked out. I think part of it was because I went and trained very hard in the gym. I'm doing squats, heavy weight, and I think that was a big part of it too. So I jumped back into going long period of time for fasting instead of gradually working my way back up. Starting with, okay, let's go a day. I can pretty much do a day whenever I want to. I should have gone back to a day, extend that to a day and a half, then 2 days, then 2.5, then 3 days. You want to gradually go back, even if you're an experienced faster. If you've never fasted at all, start with extending that 12 or 14 hours between your dinner today and your breakfast tomorrow. Extend that period of time. Push breakfast to later. Then skip breakfast and just push your lunch to later. Then eventually just do one meal. Then eventually you can try going longer than 24 hours. Try a 36-hour or something like that. The point here is, don't jump in too quickly. Last one is quick, and it's really related to this other one, which is you need to listen to your body. I wasn't paying attention to my body. And for me, if I go 2 or 3 days, I begin to get lightheaded. And I begin to get to a place where where I'm just not as strong. And that's fine. But that means I need to make some adjustments instead of doing everything like I did before. So if you're very active, you need to make sure you have some adjustments. Make sure there's periods of time where you can kind of sit and rest for a time, instead of just saying, I'm going to do everything the same and I'm not going to eat or drink anything. That's not what you want to do. So don't make those 3 mistakes. Don't end your fast super abruptly, eating just like you did before the fast. Gradually bring yourself back. Secondly, make sure that you don't jump into a fast too quickly. And then finally, listen to your body the entire time. If you're feeling weak, it may be time for you to break the fast off a little earlier than you thought, and that's fine. In the case of that time where I blacked out and had to pick myself up and then go in to visit somebody who was a shut-in, right after that, there's a sister that was working at a Mexican restaurant around the corner. I had an appointment at 2 o'clock, and I had a few minutes. I stopped at that Mexican restaurant and got me some steak tacos so that I could eat something, so that I would be ready for my appointment, because clearly my body was saying, we don't have all our resources. So listen to your body. Let me give you a bonus fourth one. The bonus fourth one also has to do with going too fast, and like we talked about, going too fast going into it, going too fast, just going right into a fast without gradually moving up to it. This fourth one is really about your preparation, and there's some Bible for this actually. Before Elijah went on a 40-day fast, the Bible says that he's told by the angel of the Lord to eat and drink, and he does this twice. This is in 1 Kings chapter 19, and the scripture says that he went in the power of that food 40 days and 40 nights, and he traveled to the mountain of God. Preparation. This is a fourth mistake I've made, where I didn't prepare adequately, where I didn't eat well, and I certainly didn't drink plenty of fluids, and I didn't hydrate myself properly leading up to the fast. That's been a mistake I've made that I do a lot better with now. So make sure leading up to the fast that you don't jump right in from that perspective, where you don't actually prepare yourself. You don't actually hydrate properly. If you will drink plenty of water and plenty of fluids leading up to a fast, it actually makes it a lot easier for you to go through that fast. So think about those 4 mistakes. Don't make the mistakes I did. If you are good on those things, you actually should be fine when it comes to doing a fast.